The plot twist in this book, wild. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Lily. This is Lily's Shelf, and today I'm giving you over 28 recs of black books, black romance, black fantasy, black contemporary, black books to read not only in the month of February, but all year, okay? Go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe to be notified when I upload, and join the fam, okay? It is now Black History Month. You have scrolled through Book Talk, Black Book Talk, Bookstagram, and you're like, let me see what the black authors are talking about. Well, strange that you decided to wait until Black History Month to get into diversifying your reading. But hey, like I said, these books can be read at all times of the year. I have read a lot of these. Some of these are on my TBR, and then some of these are part of my 25 and 2025. So let's go ahead and get started. Blood Like Magic. This is fantasy. This is romance. This is betrayal. This is blood magic. Okay, this is calling on your ancestors to honor the ceremony to get your magic. And then she has to go through this test that she's worried that she's gonna fail because she ends up getting the ancestor that is the hardest one to please, basically. So if you like high fantasy, if you like magic, intrigue, a little bit of romance, character dilemma, characters that aren't perfect, Blood Like Magic, and then the sequel that is somewhere up in here is for you. That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Human. This one is comedy, this is action, this is fantasy. The male main character is a dragon. The female main character is a regular human that has been kidnapped. It's kind of like Rapunzel, where she has been stuck in this tower because of this other dragon for years, and she keeps trying to escape, but the other dragon keeps bringing her back, and she like, guys, I need to go home, stop playing with me. So the main male character, he ends up stumbling upon her, and hijinks ensue because he's ready to help her get home, but she is distrustful of dragons because of her continuing encounter with the one that's keeping her hostage, and so she does not believe him at first. Also in that same family, you have That Time I Got Drunk and Yeeted a Love Potion at a Werewolf. This one also has mates, but she doesn't believe that she is his mate because it's backwards, guys, I'm sorry. She is his mate at first because, like the title said, she accidentally yeeted a love potion at him, so she just believes that he is suffering from the effects of the love potion, and they try and get that undone while other hijinks ensue. This one is also, it's got werewolves, it's got a little bit of magic, it's got a hidden like organization, so a little bit of intrigue, not too much, but just a little bit, but mainly also like comedy, romance, magic. The very first one in that series is That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon. Again, comedy, fantasy. He falls first and harder. Like, he was down bad for her almost from the minute that he saw her. So if you like books like that where he don't play about his woman, even when she doesn't want to admit that she's his woman, you will like, honestly, this whole series, but especially this one. Their Vicious Games. This one is more of like Pretty Little Liars meets, I don't really know, because this one, it's like a secret society. She ends up, basically the secret society kind of controls like the higher stuff, like who gets into like the Ivy League stuff, like Harvard and Yale, without having to worry about like tuition and entrance exams and things like that. Like, they kind of give like a backdoor into the upper echelon of society, but it's like Hunger Games, where they have to compete for this kind of favor. So she is one of the contestants, but she does not realize that this is a Pretty Little Liars meets Hunger Games type book. So that is all I can really say without like spoiling it too much. The plot twists in this one, they aren't bad. This one is definitely a young adult um type book. It goes to some dark places, so this would be like upper young adult. Ace of Spades is another like creepy, takes place at a school, but they are one of the few, I think they're the only two, black students that attend this school. And at first it's giving very much so like they are being forced to compete against each other, because it's kind of like they only have a certain number of spots for diverse talent, and the spots have been filled, and they kind of want one of them or both of them, really both of them, to go. So it's like political intrigue in a school setting where you have like this dark undertone of the book, because something weird is going on. Like, the more you read, the more you're like, hold up, what the heck is going on? Because the characters are also saying, hold up, what the heck is going on? Next, we're stepping into our Regency era. So this is for my people who like Bridgerton, okay? Hawthorne and the Prince. This is the last book in the series. She ate. JJ McAvoy, she ate. These are the first books that I've read by her, and she has now become an author to watch for me. She's not an auto-buy author just yet. I like to read at least 4 books, unless I'm just blown away, before I say that this is an auto-buy author. But she ate down in this series. So Hawthorne and the Prince, this one is if you like dislike to lovers, because when they first meet, she overhears him talking smack about her, and she's like, absolutely not, absolutely not, you could be the king of England for all I care, I do not want to have anything to do with you. And he's like, you better remember that for the next time we see each other. So you can bet that that's going to play into the next time they meet each other. So this one is, I would say, young adult into mature audiences, because it does have a little bit of spice to it. It's not super spicy, because this is Regency era, but just like Bridgerton has those spice scenes, and then they also have like plot and character driven moments and things like that. That is what this one is giving. American royalty, I don't know what to classify this as, because it's about this prince who has basically, he doesn't want to be a prince, and he doesn't really have to be, because his siblings and like his grandma, or his, I think the queen is his aunt, they kind of handle all of the royal duties for him, and he is kind of enjoying his life as a professor. Well, his grandfather, or I think it's his grandfather's memorial comes up, and he gets to be in charge of it because he and his grandfather were so close. And so he's booking the talent to perform at the memorial, and he thinks, because her stage name is the Duchess, so he thinks he's getting this like very uptight, very like regal performance. And then he meets the Duchess, which is this American rapper that everybody knew about but him, because he is very much so like nose in a book, very stuffy, very like set in his ways type of person. So when he meets her, he's like, hold up, you're performing? And she like, yeah, the checks have cleared, my booking has been signed, like I'm already here. I didn't fly to England just for you to tell me to turn back around. So here I am. And then of course she knocks it out the park. And of course, while they are bickering and learning to live with each other begrudgingly because he kind of fudged her accommodations, of course romance is going to ensue, of course. Next we have Dirty Wicked Prince. This one is a bully romance, and before you turn away, because I was like that too, I don't really like bully romances, but like, she doesn't let herself be bullied, okay? So like, he tries to bully her, and she pays that back like tenfold. Like every time he does something slick, she's like, all right, bet. And then she goes and does something 10 times worse. It's marketed as a bully romance. This one is also taking place at a school/academy. This one also kind of falls into that young adult, more like, because they're like high school about to be college. So it's that age bracket. Next we have Sing Me to Sleep. Of course, I was gonna recommend this one. Do you like sirens? Do you like fantasy? Do you like female rage? Do you like a woman who is about her family and will not take any mess? Like, if she had to choose between the world and her sister, she's choosing her sister every time, and I love that. So if you love that, this book is for you. But it also has some romance. It also has some political intrigue, some underlying tones of things are not as they seem. Okay, next up we have Beasts of War. This is the last book, I hope, in the Beasts of Prey series. I don't know too much about this one, but I know for sure this one definitely has a lot of political intrigue, a lot of fighting your oppressors, rising above the station that you were born in, fighting for what you deserve, not what somebody tells you should have. A little bit of romance, a little bit of mystery, a little bit, well, a lot of magic, and questioning the beliefs that you've always had. Sums up this series. So you have Beasts of War, which is the last one, Beasts of Ruin, which is the second book, and then Beasts of Prey, which is the first book. Okay, so Wings of Ebony, this one, she is basically, it's just been her sister, and her mom for as long as she can remember. Her mom suffers a tragic, untimely, so then her deadbeat dad pops up out of nowhere. Turns out he's been living with the gods, okay? Turns out she is a demigod, and she's not supposed to exist, but she does. So her dad kidnaps her to the land of the gods so that she can learn about that side of her heritage and embrace it. But when he whisks her away, he basically tells her that she can no longer interact with the human world because gods are not supposed to interfere too much with the humans. But she said basically bump that because she got to go see her sister. What you thought this was? But when she comes back to visit her sister, she finds that something suspicious, something nefarious is going on, because her sister is getting in with the wrong crowd and some foolishness is going on in Houston. Next up, we have Soul of the Deep. This one is a sequel to Skin of the Sea. This one is mermaids, one is African mythology, and you've always wanted to get into African mythology because more than Greek mythology exists, guys. More than that exists, I promise, and it was good. Well, Skin of the Sea was good. I haven't read this one yet. Speaking of Skin of the Sea, okay, so this one, she is a mermaid, but in this universe, the African goddess of water, I believe, has blessed, I think, like 8 of these girls to be mermaids. But if they exit the sea and stand on land, then they start to regain their memories of their human life. When they go back into the sea, those memories kind of slip away. I'm assuming so that they don't have to deal with the pain of remembering the loved ones that they left behind. But she ends up saving this guy that falls overboard. And they're not supposed to do that. They're not supposed to interfere. It is very much so let the sea decide if they live or they die. She said absolutely not. She saw him fall over. She could not leave him to his fate, so she saves him, and then they end up going on this quest to help him return to his village. Just know this was really good. Of course, it's not a recommendation video without talking about Legendborn and Bloodmarked. Now, Bloodmarked is a sequel to Legendborn. I don't know too much of what this is about. I just know, number 1, the sprayed edges eat, and number 2, everybody raves about this series, so now I'm raving about this series. This is also on my TBR. Legendborn, the first book in that series. Oathbound comes out next month. If you want to wait till next month and then try to read them all together, you can do so. I think they said it kind of gives like King Arthur vibes, Secret Society. I think this is also at an academy. Yeah, for high schoolers. So this is also young adult, high fantasy, fiction, a little bit of romance in here. Do you like Alice in Wonderland? Of course you do. So you should read the Blade So Black series. So the last one is A Crown So Cursed. Quite honestly, y'all, I love when a book series finishes on the same high note that it started on. Okay, so our girl Alice, she lives in Atlanta, Georgia. She loves anime, a woman after my own heart. But she is suffering from grief because her father tragically passes away, and so she's trying to deal with that, but she has a lot of like anger and grief kind of mixed in, and she doesn't know how to properly express that. So she ends up seeing what they call a nightmare, which is this like creepy oozing gunk kind of stuff that like tries to breach the gap from Wonderland to our world and like wreak havoc. And when she sees that, she ends up getting saved by one of the guardians who kind of like guard the gates to make sure that them creepy little things don't come into our world. And she ends up becoming a dream walker, which are humans that are able to see them and able to fight them. And then they pair up with a guardian at one of the gates to learn how to fight, and then also to fight, continue the fight. So it's 3 books in a series. This is the last one. A Dream So Dark is the middle one. And A Blade So Black is the first one. Next up, if you like vampires, you should read Immortal Dark. Now, don't listen to the hype. Remember, reading is subjective, okay? So one person's cup of tea is another person's champagne. Some people don't like this. Some people love this. I'm one of the people who love this. If you like enemies to lovers, if you like when somebody goes low, the girl goes to the ground, trying to find a missing sister who she swears was kidnapped, falling slowly in love with your enemy because of forced proximity, Immortal Dark. Next up, we have The Neighbor Favor. So they're pen pals, and then he ends up moving in next door to her. They don't realize that their neighbor is their pen pal. So like they end up, talking and getting to know each other as neighbors whole time. They've known each other this whole time because they're pen pals. Okay? So it's a lot of hijinks, a lot of slow burn romance going on in this one. The partner plot, I don't know too much about this one, but it's second chance, it's marriage of convenience. It looks like Vegas, it looks like hijinks, it looks like love. So there you go. When I Think of You, this one is also second chance. I don't know too much other than that, but look at the cover. Stunning, ain't it? Yes. This Ravenous Fate, I think y'all have seen this before if you've been on my channel or follow my Instagram, one of the two. If you're not following me on Instagram, you should. But this one is sapphic, so it's vampires, vampire hunters, 2 best friends who one feels like she's been betrayed because the other best friend wasn't able to save her before she got turned into a vampire. Yeah, but then they have to end up working together because a third party comes in trying to annihilate everybody. Yeah. When no one is watching, this one is a horror, more of a thriller take on gentrification, because the main character is going around noticing that the people in her neighborhood are either her neighborhood or neighborhood that she often visits are being bought out. Like their homes are being bought and then they're being basically forced to leave. But instead of the people just being moved to either like a different neighborhood or something like that, they're disappearing, which is very suspicious. Very suspicious. So she ends up working with this other person. I don't know, Theo. She ends up working with this guy to try to figure out what the heck is going on, because the company that's buying the houses and getting these people out of there is saying, basically, you know how that when people say, oh, they're being moved to like this nice community, or like they're being paid fairly for their homes. That way that they can afford to move somewhere else. That's what the company is saying. But they're starting to realize once the people move, they're never heard from again. May a Divine Awaken, this one is more fantasy, more political intrigue, because he is from a remote village. His village gets attacked one day and he is the only survivor. So he goes on this revenge tour. But while he's doing that, it's revealed that he may or may not be special. Like he may or may not have powers. And so he has to decide if he's going to give up avenging his village that was wiped out in favor of helping his king, like the king ruler, or if he's going to say bump the king and continue on his revenge path, but with his added power set. This Poison Heart, I think this one is also sapphic, but this is dark magic. This is an ancient curse. The main female character, she has magical abilities where she can manipulate plants or make plants grow, something with the plants, right? And that's frowned upon. I don't know why though. Like, I don't know too much about this one. Number one, look at the cover, stunning. Number two, I love magic. I definitely love curses, so that's why I picked this one up. The sequel to that is This Wicked Fate. Next up, we have Honey and Spice. I feel like I don't talk about this one a lot. But this one, I've heard a lot of great things about. This one takes place, I think, in college. And it's kind of like a fake dating type book. So if you like fake dating, where the feelings end up getting all too real, this one is for you. If you don't know Kennedy Ryan, I don't know what to tell you. But this is the second book. This could be us. The third book, I think, is coming out very soon. It looks like she's grieving the dissolution of her relationship because of betrayal. And so she kind of works on finding herself, what that looks like. And she might also get a second chance at love with somebody new. The first book in that series is Before I Let Go. So by Kennedy Ryan is The Kingmaker. This one sounds like a kind of enemies to lovers, because he is from a very prominent, very wealthy family, and she is boycotting. I think his company is trying to like dig oil or something, and she is boycotting them digging oil in that area, and they end up meeting. Sparks fly, but they are on opposite sides of this moral dilemma, because he's trying to, make sure his bottom line is good, and she's trying to make sure that the planet is good. Aphrodite and the Duke, this one is the first book in that Regency era series that I was talking about with Hawthorne and the Prince. Verity and the Forbidden Suitor is the second book, but I'm letting my mom borrow that one right now, so I don't have the physical copy of that. But this one is second chance lovers. Like, they were childhood sweethearts, but through some foolishness, he ended up marrying somebody else, and so she was heartbroken, but his wife ends up passing away, and so he tries to win her back, essentially. And the book just follows whether he is successful or not. He grovels. The way the groveling is done in this book, the pining, the longing, 8. Next, we have the bookshop Sisterhood. They are 4 friends that have succeeded in creating this bookshop. They are about to open it, or they are just opened, and life starts coming at them fast. So they have to work on their personal stuff. They have to work on keeping the business running, and they want to make sure that this is a place that their community can come and hang out and chill, while also, making enough for the bottom line. So this one kind of gives like the sisterhood of the traveling pants. Okay, I already talked about Blood Like Magic. Blood Like Fate is the sequel. It is only 2 books in the series. This book picks up right where the first book left off. It is dealing with the consequences of what happened in the first book, which I love. But it's more betrayal, it's more romance, it's more second chance, it's more magic. Very good sequel, very strong sequel, but definitely do not read this until you read Blood Like Magic. Next up, we have The Gilded. This one is kind of a bully romance, but is also a second chance romance. They were childhood friends that were on the cusp, maybe sort of kind of becoming lovers before she moved away. But I think she had to leave before she could tell him goodbye. So it broke his little heart, okay? And we all know how boys be taking broken hearts, okay? So fast forward to high school. Yeah, because it's another academy type book. So fast forward to high school and they end up reunited, but he wants nothing to do with her because he feels like she betrayed him when she left him without a word and like didn't contact him at all through the years that she was gone, right? So she tries to say, she tries to say hello, try to pick up where they left off. He's not having none of it. He's not having none of it. It's one of those, he is so angry and hurt, but at the same time, now that she's back, he can't stand not being around her. So the book is thick. Okay, she's thick, but the book was good. Next up, we have House of Marion. This one has magic. The female lead and her mom, they're on the run. She ends up joining the secret society so that the secret society that she's running from doesn't catch her, and she meets the love interest. Who that is, I don't know. From the quick scan on the back, that's all I could glean. So if you like, again, fantasy, magic, your main character on the run, that sort of like tension pervading the whole book, this is it. We have I Feed Her to the Beast, and the Beast is me. This one, she is trying to be the best ballerina that there ever was, but she wants an edge. She wants a surefire way to get to the top, and what surefire way is better than making a deal with the devil? Okay, so she makes a deal with this creepy blood river that she finds, totally not a red flag, and throughout the book, she learns that there is a price to pay for having made that deal. Delicious Monsters. This one is also like a thriller, sci-fi type of, where it goes? Thriller, horror? Paranormal. Thriller, paranormal book. It deals with two different young women dealing with the secrets of this creepy haunted house 10 years apart. So the first girl, she can see ghosts, and she ends up moving to the house with her mom. And just when she thought that she had outrun those ghosts and having to deal with all that, the house shows her she absolutely did not. 10 years later, this girl is trying to start or take off with this kind of like horror podcast. She ends up either moving or visiting the house, and she starts to uncover the other girl's kind of struggles and her story, and then she has to decide if she's going to continue searching for just like the cheap thrills, or if she's going to really kind of stick it out with figuring out what happened to this other girl that was there before her. Last but not least, the Gilded Ones series. Now, I read the Gilded Ones and then I stopped because I was waiting to get my hands on the second and third book. Okay, I've got them now. But the Gilded Ones, this one is magic. This one is political intrigue. This one is realizing that not everything is as it seems. This one is deciding if you are going to continue fighting for the status quo or fighting for what's right. And our girl is in the middle of all that because women are second-class citizens, basically. Like, if you do not have a man attached to you, you should not even be outside by yourself. Like, that's how the women are treated in this book. And when they come of age, I think it's like 16, they are cut. They're cut on the palm because they're trying to see, are you going to bleed red like a human, or are you going to bleed gold like a monster? She is praying. She is down on her knees every night praying that her blood runs red, okay? When she gets to the ceremony, her blood absolutely runs gold. So her people deem her, like the people of her village, they deem her a monster. And they sell her to the capital to be experimented on, to be off. They don't care. They just want her out of there. So this book follows her journey of going to the capital and seeing kind of what they do to girls like her. And it's wild. Like, that's all I'm gonna say, because I don't want to say too much, because this is another one, like, if you talk too long, you're gonna start spoiling. Because the plot twist in this book, wild. So the Gilded Ones are the first one. Oh, that's the last one. Hold on. The Merciless Ones are the second one. And then the Eternal Ones are the last ones. So those are my recommendations of books by Black authors that I have read / want to read that should be read throughout the whole year, but you can start this month, okay? So thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. I really, really appreciate it, and I will see y'all in my next video. Bye, guys.
This nugget of encouragement, things will be alright.